After 3 years together, my boyfriend, Luke, suddenly developed the ability to read minds. He's in great shape, but unfortunately, he's a total blockhead. No amount of flirting ever works on him. Ugh, I'm so over this. I want to break up. At the same time, lines of text started scrolling in front of my eyes, like live comments on a video. The first thing he hears with his new mind-reading power is his girlfriend wanting to break up. Professor Luke is probably hiding in a corner crying right now. Please, girl, you have to comfort him. If Professor Luke snaps, he'll drive you crazy. Professor Luke is just an innocent puppy. Don't be fooled by how reserved he seems now. If you just ask, he'd be down for anything: uniforms, body chains, even a puppy collar. Wait, for real? This was the 6th time Luke had rejected me. He casually draped his jacket over my shoulders, covering up the black lace lingerie I was wearing. It gets chilly at night. Annoyed, I smacked his hand away. Ever since I brought up marriage, Luke had been avoiding me, completely ignoring my deliberate attempts to seduce him. He'd glance at me for a second and then immediately look away. If you really want to be together, why do you always act so cool and indifferent? It just makes me feel like I'm the only one trying. If you're not into it anymore, why not just break up? What's the point of stringing me along? This is so frustrating. I should just break up with him. Clutching the corner of the jacket, I defiantly looked up and met Luke's gaze. He was staring right at me, his lips pressed together, looking angry. I snapped, if you don't like me, then let's just break up. Let's not waste each other's time. Still fuming, I added, and if you think I'm not good enough for you, you should find someone more suitable before you turn 35. I'd hate for you to be old and unwanted. Suddenly, a wall of text filled my vision. Oof, that's a knife straight to the heart. Professor Luke is super sensitive about his age. He looks calm on the outside, but after hearing our girl's thoughts, he's probably already plotting how to win her back. He totally deserves this. He's obviously head over heels for her but acts all weird because of the age gap, making her misunderstand. Well, get ready for a whole grovel fest now. Seeing the comments, I felt a little dazed. Was this really happening? Luke closed his eyes for a moment before speaking. It's not that I don't like you. As for breaking up, I don't agree. His voice wasn't as steady as it usually was. The comments started flying across my screen again. Ooh, I don't agree. If he doesn't leave now, the waterworks are gonna start. If our girl pushes him a little more, he's going to cry himself to sleep tonight. Half believing it, I opened my mouth to say something, but Luke cut me off. Just think about it for a few more days. With that, he turned and walked away. I watched him go. His walk was a little strange, like his arms and legs were out of sync. The comments started scrolling again. Telling her to think about it for a few days is really just giving himself time to win her back. LMAO, look at that walk. He's definitely going to hide in his room and cry his eyes out. Who would have thought the cool, aloof Professor Luke is such a crybaby? If she knocks on his door right now, he'd probably have a heart attack. To test if the comments were real, I hesitated for a moment, then went to his room. I knocked several times, but there was no answer. Maybe he wasn't even in there. He probably left the apartment. I couldn't believe I'd actually fallen for these baseless comments. Click. The door opened, just a crack. The room was dark, and Luke was completely hidden in the shadows. What is it? In the dim yellow light of the hallway, my eyes met his. It looked like Luke had been crying. His eyes were red and swollen. I froze, now a firm believer in the live comments. Were you crying? Bam! The door slammed shut. A muffled voice came from behind it. No. Whoa, this isn't how the story was supposed to go. She actually knocked. Is the grovel fest turning into a sweet romance? Forget groveling. These two should just be cute and happy together. Professor Luke was so flustered he shut the door on her. He's probably regretting that so hard right now. For the next few days, Luke was deliberately avoiding me, leaving early and coming home late. He was being so obvious about it that it was driving me crazy. I had to know what he was up to. I finally managed to corner him at the door. We were standing so close I could clearly smell an unfamiliar perfume on him. I don't wear perfume, and Luke definitely doesn't either. Who had Luke been with? The question sparked a seed of doubt in my mind. I asked, "Why do you smell like perfume? You better not be cheating on me. If you are, we're really over." Luke frowned and quickly took off his jacket. "It must be from a colleague. If you don't like it, I won't interact with her anymore." I was about to ask more, but the live comments exploded on my screen. This is it. This is where it all starts. The other woman meddles, the couple starts suspecting each other, and half the book is just pure angst. It's actually because Professor Luke is planning a surprise for her, but the other woman forces her way in, claiming she's helping, while dropping hints to make the girlfriend think they're having an affair. So annoying. Our girl is already super sensitive, and later the other woman accidentally leaves her lipstick in his car to lead her on. "Chloe, please don't overthink this. Professor Luke is so loyal. He said he'd stop contact because you don't like it." I silently took his jacket from him. "Go take a shower. I'll wash this. I hate perfume. The scent always reminds me of my cheating father." The other woman he was with also loved to douse herself in it, always a different scent, and I could always smell it on my dad. It was like a signal, broadcasting his infidelity. After watching Luke go into the bathroom, I grabbed his keys and went to his car to search for the lipstick the comments mentioned. I found it in the back seat, right where I would have seen it if I had sat back there in a huff. How did the lipstick plot happen so early? Please don't tell me they're breaking up now. I can't take it. My heart aches for her. Her dad cheated, her mom also had affairs and started a new family, and she was basically abandoned by both. That's why she's so sensitive. I threw the lipstick in the trash can, and the heavy feeling in my chest finally lifted. The next day, I got a call from my childhood friend. "Girl, I'm back in the country. Did you miss me? Let me tell you, I'm dating this super hot, 6-foot-something guy. He has an amazing body. I'll introduce you guys now that I'm back. So, how are things with you and that brooding professor?" I thought for a moment. "They're okay." He hesitated. "Are you guys fighting?" "A little, but it's nothing. It's too complicated to explain over the phone." "Tell me everything. I've got your back, you know I'm a fighter. Don't be scared. I'm getting off the plane now. Let's meet at the grocery store later, grab some stuff for hot pot, and the four of us can chat." Felix hung up and quickly sent me the address for the store. Our angel Felix is finally here. These two have always been there for each other. The part later where he gets Professor Luke sent to the hospital to get revenge for her is hilarious. At the store, Felix linked his arm with mine, showing off his new manicure as he tossed a few bags of shrimp balls into the cart. "My boyfriend loves these, gotta stock up." I stopped. Felix was acting so lovesick, bringing up his boyfriend every 3 seconds. He used to be the one telling me not to get all mushy over a guy. "Felix, don't tell me you've actually fallen in love." Felix blushed and gave my shoulder a playful tap. "You don't get it. The competition is fierce these days. It's hard to find a guy who's exactly my type." I dodged away playfully as my phone buzzed with a series of notifications. I opened it. It was Luke. "Where are you?" "At the grocery store. A friend of mine is coming over later." Oh boy, here we go. The male lead is about to have his own misunderstanding. The other woman sent him a picture of them at the grocery store. But Professor Luke has met Felix before, right? How could he fall for that? To the person above, to make it convincing, the other woman photoshopped Felix to look taller. LMAO, I bet Felix never thought he'd be cast as a 6-foot-tall bottom. Reading the comments, I quickly added another message, "I'm with Felix." You've met him. The indicator showed he was typing, but a new message never came. Felix was in my kitchen, prepping the ingredients. The doorbell rang. Luke had said he'd be here later, so it must be his boyfriend. I opened the door, and Luke swept me off my feet and set me on the shoe cabinet next to the door. A flurry of urgent, demanding kisses fell on me. The intense, passionate atmosphere made me want to take things further. Then, Luke suddenly bit my lip, hard. Ouch. I winced and pushed him away, glaring at him. What did you bite me for? I whispered. My eyes traveled down his neck. Under his tailored suit jacket, he wasn't wearing a shirt, but a gold body chain. As if embarrassed, Luke covered his exposed chest, his face and neck turning beet red. He mumbled, "Do you like it?" Feeling a fire ignite inside me, I wrapped my arms around his neck and whispered in his ear, "I love it." Almost on cue, Felix's boyfriend arrived. He squinted, his eyes scanning us with suspicion. After a moment of hesitation, he said, "Are you guys sure you want to get this kinky?" Luke's back went rigid, and the charged atmosphere vanished. He looked at me, his eyes filled with a mixture of shame and anger, like a jilted lover. "Chloe, you..." Tears welled up in his eyes, and Luke practically stumbled away, not giving me a chance to explain. Why did he have to show up at that exact moment? I wanted to see what happened next. The crybaby professor is back online. He probably thought she wanted a threesome. Seeing the comments, my face fell. Of all the rotten timing. Luke was genuinely angry. He blocked me on everything and even changed the code on his apartment door. I couldn't find him anywhere. The next time I heard about him, it was because he'd been in a car accident and was in the hospital. He was sitting up in the hospital bed, a bandage wrapped around his head, looking dazed. I wanted to ask what happened, but the comments gave me the answer. Professor Luke found out the guy was gay and thought he was cheating on Chloe with Felix, so he got all excited and drove like a maniac to tell her, and then crashed. He's the actual boyfriend, but he's acting like the other man, trying to win her back. What a weirdo. He's putting on this fragile college boy act now to get her sympathy. I felt a mix of exasperation and amusement. I had no idea Luke had cooked up such a wild story in his head. I sat down on the edge of the bed. How are you feeling? Are you hurt anywhere else? Luke looked at me like a stranger. Who are you? I have amnesia. I've forgotten a lot of things. I frowned and glanced at the comments. Here comes the classic amnesia trope. When in doubt, just hit the reset button. It's just a minor concussion, and he's milking it for all it's worth. This could get really awkward if she doesn't play along. His friends give the worst advice. Pretend to have amnesia, fall in love at first sight, pursue her passionately, and get back together. They're like relationship saboteurs. He needs new friends. I breathed a sigh of relief and decided to have a little fun. Amnesia, huh? What should I do? Maybe I should pretend I don't know him? Luke's face fell instantly, and he quickly backtracked. I remember you. We know each other. I let out a soft chuckle, my voice low and playful. Then do you know what our relationship is? Luke hadn't expected that question. He shook his head, looking guilty. My fingers traced a path from his neck down to his stomach. I'm your sugar mama, I said casually. You're my kept man. Luke looked utterly flustered, his eyes darting around the room. Really? You're the one with amnesia. Why don't you believe me? Or are you lying to me? Luke quickly denied it, his voice barely a whisper. I was peeling an apple for him when a woman walked in, carrying a fruit basket. Her voice was soft. Professor Luke, are you all right? She walked straight past me and sat down next to him. You've gotten so thin from the accident. I'll make you some soup to help you recover. Her overly familiar words made Luke's face turn a sickly shade of green and black. Who are you? Do we know each other? The woman, Lulu, paused for a second, shooting me a subtle glance. She didn't seem embarrassed at all. She just smiled and tucked her hair behind her ear. Don't you remember me, Professor? We're colleagues in the same office. I'm Lulu Wu. We even used to have lunch together all the time. Luke's expression grew even darker. I propped my chin on my hand, enjoying the show. Luke, if you don't handle this perfectly, you're dead. Luke suddenly sat up straight, his eyes flicking over to my face. Lulu asked tentatively, you have amnesia? Luke ignored her question and said sternly, I highly doubt I would have lunch alone with another woman when I have a girlfriend. If it was just an office get-together, there would be no need to single us out. Lulu's expression stiffened, and she forced a laugh. I guess I misspoke. Oh, by the way, when you drove me home that one time, I accidentally left my lipstick in your car. I hope Chloe wasn't mad when she saw it. Luke frowned, about to explain. I pulled my hand back and said with a smirk, oh, sorry about that. I thought some slob left their trash in the car, so I already threw it out. You're not mad, are you, Lulu? I mean, you seem to have a real problem with boundaries. You. I cut her off, not bothering to be polite. The patient needs to rest. Don't you think it's time for you to go, Lulu? Before she left, she shot me one last vicious glare. As soon as she was gone, Luke rushed to explain. That was a work dinner. The department head asked me to give her a ride. I looked at him calmly. Luke, when did I say I was your girlfriend? At my words, Luke's shoulders slumped and the corners of his mouth drooped. You're my kept little puppy, and I'm your owner. I tilted my head, smiling at him. Luke bashfully turned his head away, the tips of his ears bright red. He's so cute. Luke's head drooped even lower. Your owner is angry right now. How are you going to make it up to me? OMG, she's so good at this. She's tamed our cool professor into a shy little puppy. Even though the plot points are all there, it somehow turned into a sweet story. I fully support Professor Luke being a dog for love. Stop being so reserved, my guy. Just bring out the uniforms, body chains, and puppy collars already. You think she'll still be mad then? Body chains? An idea popped into my head, and a smile crept onto my lips. I did really like that gold body chain you were wearing earlier. Luke's face was a mask of reluctance, his hands clenched tightly on the bedsheets. After leaving the hospital, Luke naturally came home with me. The moment we were inside, he locked the front door like a thief. He turned around, and under my puzzled gaze, he pulled a gold chain from his pocket. Luke avoided my eyes, unable to look directly at me. I could see the blush spreading across his cheeks as he shyly turned his face away. His voice was a tiny whisper. Owner, will you put it on for me? My mind went blank for a second, and my mouth felt dry. Is he secretly this wild behind closed doors? A shy puppy, wagging his tail for his owner, but cold and aloof to the world. After an internal struggle, he still chooses to please her. I reached out, took the chain, and helped him put it on. His skin was burning hot, his warm breath fanning across the top of my head. Luke lifted me up, his palm cupping the back of my head as he leaned in for a mesmerizing kiss. Let's go to the bedroom. I covered his lips, stopping his advance just long enough to catch my breath. Luke's eyes were half closed, his gaze dark and unreadable. I felt a wet, slick sensation on my palm and instinctively pulled my hand away. Luke smirked, looking like a sly fox planning mischief. Okay. I was in a daze when I sank into the duvet. Luke pecked at my lips again and again. The phone on the nightstand wouldn't stop vibrating. Annoyed, I reached for it. Luke was faster. He glanced at the screen and tossed the phone onto the small sofa nearby. Chloe, you're such a jerk. He gritted his teeth, his movements quickening as if he was afraid I'd run away. His arm around my waist refused to let go. My body felt drained of all energy, and sleepiness washed over me like a tide. Through the haze, I heard Luke whisper, "One little puppy is all the owner needs." I woke up from the heat. The person beside me was like a constant, steady furnace. I turned over to face him. Without his glasses, Luke looked less intimidating. I reached out and traced the line of his strong nose with my finger. He wrinkled his nose and caught my restless hand, patting the back of it gently like he was soothing a child. I noticed the faint lines around his eyes and was suddenly struck by the fact that Luke really was 7 years older than me. No wonder he reacted so strongly when I called him old. Luke's eyes suddenly flew open, and he stared at me without moving. "You're awake." He subtly pulled me into his arms, his tone sour. "If I were a shriveled-up old man in his 70s or 80s, would you still keep me?" "Of course not," I answered honestly. "You always find a younger one when you're a sugar mama." Luke wasn't happy with that answer and pressed on. "Who else do you have besides me?" I suppressed a smile. Is the little puppy trying to boss around his sugar mama now? Luke fell silent. A moment later, he went into the bathroom. He stared at his reflection in the mirror, his fingers tracing the barely visible lines by his eyes. He sighed, his mind clearly elsewhere. I finished getting ready and was eating breakfast at the table. When Luke came out again, he was wearing a sheet mask, his hair held back by a headband. "What's with the sudden face mask?" Luke smoothed out the wrinkles on the mask. "Anti-aging." I almost choked. "What?" I asked again, in disbelief. Luke looked at me mournfully. I don't know what I said to trigger him, but Professor Luke's age anxiety is kicking in. He's worried he can't compete with the younger guys. Starting the skincare routine now so his sugar mama won't stray when he's older. The front door opened and Felix stormed in, throwing his bag on the sofa and plopping down next to me. His cheeks were puffed out like an angry pufferfish. He was about to launch into a rant when he noticed Luke sitting nearby. His expression shifted from annoyance to confusion, and finally, to understanding. Felix leaned in and whispered in my ear, "Did you and Luke break up?" I shook my head. Felix covered his mouth in shock. "You cheated on him. Can't you two work it out? I was actually really rooting for you guys." Seeing my silence, Felix's voice got quieter. "But if you can't, that's okay too. Your happiness is what matters. But I can tell you're not over him. You even got a look-alike stand-in. He really looks a lot like Luke." Under the table, I kicked his leg in frustration. "What was that for?" Luke peeled off his mask. Felix froze for a second, then gave an awkward laugh and slid down his chair like he had no bones, disappearing under the table. His muffled voice came from below. "I'm so sorry." Luke took a deep breath and put the mask back on. Even though Felix didn't mean it, Professor Luke is probably really hurt. Male lead is sad. Male lead is not talking. Male lead is activating stare-down mode. The doorbell started ringing non-stop. Luke got up to answer it. "I'm looking for Felix." The man's voice was crystal clear in the quiet house. Felix shot up straight, banging his head on the table. He rubbed his head as he emerged. He yelled toward the door, "Don't let that jerk in." The man peeked his head in, but Luke blocked his view. "Please leave. We're both adults. This is between the two of us, we can handle it ourselves." Luke didn't move. "I've never seen you before. Did you follow him up here? Are you trying to break in?" The man exploded like a firecracker. "None of your damn business. Get out of my way." The two started shoving each other, and suddenly, they were fighting. The living room was a mess. The man ended up on the floor. Luke didn't get off easy either, his face was scraped up. Felix called the cops. The person who came to pick up the man was his fiancée. The disgust on her face was impossible to miss. If it wasn't an arranged marriage, who would want to be engaged to a gay man like you? Before you worry about your flings on the side, you should think about how you're going to explain this to your parents. This is a business marriage. We have a contract. We're supposed to stay out of each other's way. The woman glanced at Felix, snorted, and got back in her car. The man looked at Felix with a "you should get it now" expression. I told you a long time ago that she and I are just in an arranged marriage. You didn't have to run off to another country. Our feelings for each other won't change. As long as you don't make a scene, no one will ever know. In 3 years, I'll get married, have a kid, get divorced, and then I'll go abroad and marry you. Why can't you just understand me? My parents want a grandchild. Can you give them that? Slap. Felix's hand cracked across his face. Who you marry and who you have kids with has nothing to do with me. We already broke up. Why did you have someone follow me? And now you're shamelessly stalking me? You were the one who broke up with me. The man got even more agitated. I told you I'd marry you eventually. Why are you throwing a tantrum now? Someone rushed forward and punched the man to the ground. He wanted to go in for more, but Felix stopped him. He looked down at the man on the floor and said in a low, heavy voice, "Get out." The man stumbled to his feet. I'm better than him in every way. Why would you choose him over me? What are you? I'm his daddy, that's what. Felix's new boyfriend kicked the man to the ground, then grabbed Felix and left. Luke finally realized something was off. The face mask he was wearing nearly cracked. That's Felix's boyfriend? I shrugged. Who else? Luke's eyes lit up, and he tossed the face mask into the trash without a second thought. Luke was in a great mood. On his way back, he stopped by a flower shop and bought a huge bouquet to put in a vase. He was humming a tune while cooking in the kitchen. During dinner, Luke got a call. His face immediately clouded over with reluctance, but he seemed to have no choice. I have a dinner meeting tonight, so I can't cook for you. That's okay. It's a good chance for me to go check on Felix anyway. The dinner was a whirlwind of clinking glasses and fake smiles. Everyone there had the same goal, to set up the big boss's stepdaughter with Luke. The person sitting next to Luke patted his shoulder, a hint of envy in his voice. The big boss has his eye on you. You're a lucky guy. Lulu's had a crush on you for ages. Why not give it a shot? Your father-in-law would be rich, you're talented, your future would be set. Luke removed his hand. I have a girlfriend. Luke stood up, ready to leave the private room. The man looked at him, frustrated. This is such a great opportunity, and you're being so picky. Coming out of the restroom, Luke ran into Lulu, who had been waiting for him. She was leaning against the railing, her arms crossed. She clicked toward him in her high heels, the sound echoing in the empty hallway. Lulu stopped in front of him and asked the question that had been burning in her mind. I really don't get you. Shouldn't people like us, who've reached a certain level, be joining forces? Luke didn't want to waste his breath. He turned to leave. Lulu stepped in front of him. I don't believe you haven't weighed the options. Chloe's parents are divorced, her father's fortune won't go to her. Her own mother remarried and has other kids. You can't guess who she'll favor? Besides, you and I graduated from the same university, we work at the same place. We should have more in common. I'm a great catch, and I can help you a lot in the future. Even Chloe's dad wouldn't want to lose a talent like you. You should know what's best for you. Luke's expression was cold. All I hear is that you're trying to steal my girlfriend. You have a lot of high and mighty excuses, but every single one of them benefits you. You're just looking for someone you can use to up your own game. And why me? My guess is because Chloe is the boss's biological daughter, and you can't stand to see her happy. Bingo. Straight for the jugular. The other woman doesn't love anyone but herself. She's a complete egoist who trips up anyone she doesn't like and will do anything to get what she wants. Before the FL's parents even divorced, the scumbag dad got this girl into the FL's school. At her mom's instruction, she bullied the FL constantly. The other woman's mom was also ruthless in her pursuit of a rich lifestyle. She forced the parents to divorce and then desperately had a son to secure her inheritance. I watched the drama unfold from a distance, my father's voice still buzzing from my phone. Chloe, the person I've wronged most in my life is you. His voice was old and frail. As he'd gotten older, he'd started placing more importance on blood ties. It's okay if you resent me. Just come visit me more often. The family business is large, and you'll get your share. I couldn't help but laugh coldly. And what about your precious stepdaughter? Her? There was a pause on the other end. She's a pleasant girl, but you don't have to worry. She's not one of us, she won't get a penny of our family's money. Come see your father. We haven't seen each other in so long. We'll see, I said, cutting him off. How strange. The daughter he could ignore his whole life, he suddenly feels something for now. Guilt? Or maybe he just feels like he wasted his time raising another man's child. He was always a cold, heartless person. Playing the sentiment card in his old age is just disgusting. When he was younger, the scumbag dad was ruled by his dick, listening to his mistress and cutting off his own daughter's living expenses without a second thought. After years of neglect, what's he showing up for now? If I didn't know about all the crap he pulled when he was younger, coddling his mistress and letting her daughter bully his own, I might actually believe him. He's old and now he craves a functional family with filial kids. The world doesn't work like that. I remember the scumbag dad has terminal cancer, right? He doesn't have much time left. Terminal cancer? My mind seized on those two words. Not willing to show your face at the dinner party, but you're happy to eavesdrop? Lulu's tone was sarcastic, her eyes full of contempt. I put my phone away and stepped out. This is a public space. Are people not allowed to take calls here anymore? Lulu couldn't resist a retort. Well, you certainly know how to pick a spot. Then her tone shifted. Was that your father on the phone? I raised an eyebrow. Want to know what he said? Lulu bit her lower lip, trying to act casual and maintain her composure. The more she tried, the more obvious it was that she cared. She had deliberately tried to win my father over, only for him to be the one to contact me. She must have been scared of being kicked out after years of effort with nothing to show for it. My father was ruthless to his own daughter, he'd be even more heartless to an outsider. He said that you have no blood relation to the family and that you won't get a thing. How tragic. All that hard work, and in the end, you get nothing. Lulu gritted her teeth, forcing a smile that was uglier than a grimace. Don't think you've won. Do you really believe he cares about the pitifully small amount of affection he has for you? He just wants to pave the way for his precious son. He's not interested in you, but in Luke. And why do you think he brought me to this dinner? Because I'm the sister who actually shares blood with his darling son. He thought if I was the one to land Luke, I would definitely help my own brother. Don't flatter yourself, and don't think you're any better than me. Her face was grim as she grabbed her bag and stormed off. You just wait. Luke wrapped his arms around me from behind, resting his head on my shoulder. They were trying to stir up trouble, but I rejected all of them. Owner, didn't I do a good job? I turned around and hooked his chin with my finger, pulling his face gently to the side as I planted a soft kiss on his cheek. That's your reward. Luke's face grew warm, his eyes fixed on mine. Maybe it was my imagination, but if Luke actually had a tail, it would be wagging like a helicopter propeller right now. Luke leaned in eagerly, but I stopped him. Don't make a scene out here. Luke pouted, then scooped me up into his arms and carried me to the elevator and down to the underground parking garage. In the cramped space of the car, Luke's eyes burned with desire. There's no one around now. I had tugged his suit jacket all out of shape. First, let's go to the store and buy a couple of boxes, then we'll go home. Luke didn't move. I coaxed him, can you just be a good boy for me? A commanding kiss landed on my lips, and he only pulled away when they were tingling and numb. The car sped out of the garage and disappeared down the road. Lulu invited me to meet her at a coffee shop. When I got there, I found a high school student sitting at the reserved table instead. Looking at him, it wasn't hard to guess that he was my father's son. I pulled out a chair and sat down. Want to get something to drink? We were like strangers. Seeing this half-brother I'd never met didn't stir much emotion in me. Once he confirmed it was me, the strange emotion in his eyes vanished. After ordering, Mark finally spoke up. Is she not coming? She referred to Lulu. I'm not sure. I was invited here too. I didn't expect to be babysitting. Even though it was summer, Mark was wearing a long-sleeved jacket. The school emblem on his uniform looked familiar, Jinxing No. 1 High School, the best school in the province. I guess the old man's son was a smart kid after all. The heroine's brother has appeared. It's a miracle a sweet kid could come out of such a messed up family. This kid's grades at Jinxing No. 1 are actually really high. I just don't know why he took a leave of absence in his senior year. He fiddled with the small cake in front of him, revealing a small section of his arm before quickly hiding it back in his sleeve. I clearly saw a scabbed-over scar on his arm. It didn't look accidental, it looked deliberate. I put down my coffee cup. Do you self-harm? Mark awkwardly covered his arm, his eyes darting away. No, it was an accident. Self-harm? The brother is popular, from a good family, and has good grades. Why would he want to hurt himself? In the story, the brother not only inherited most of the family fortune but also got into the best university. The author never said he had psychological problems. Why would he self-harm? I probed gently, are you afraid of Lulu? Mark was silent. From his reaction, I had a pretty good idea of what was going on. Bullying. Lulu's favorite tactic. I had escaped it, but he was too soft-spoken and didn't dare to fight back, so he just sank deeper and deeper. She's an expert at picking on easy targets like you. Being a coward just gives her more power over you. We sat in silence for another half-hour before leaving separately. As I was driving away, a black sedan shot out, its target clearly Mark. In a split second, I wrenched the steering wheel, ramming my car into the side of the black sedan and forcing it to a stop. The man in the driver's seat, wearing a black baseball cap, saw things were going south, got out of the car, and ran. When Mark was taken to the hospital for an examination, the mottled bruises on his body were shocking. At the hospital, both his mother and Lulu showed up. Mark's mother, without asking any questions, started hitting and kicking me. The woman was sobbing hysterically. Give me back my son. She grabbed my clothes, her eyes filled with hatred. Even if my son is gone, you won't get a penny of the family fortune, you venomous snake. I'll make you pay with your life. I shook her hand off and straightened my clothes. You probably won't get the chance. Your son is perfectly fine, resting in a hospital bed. And here's another piece of news you won't believe, I'm the one who saved your son. The woman's tears of grief turned to tears of joy. She pushed past me and rushed into the hospital room. Lulu followed close behind. I grabbed her arm. You're pretty heartless, aren't you? You don't even care about human life. Lulu tensed up. Without proof, that's just slander. The woman was fussing over Mark, and when she noticed me, she seemed a little guilty. She cleared her throat and said grudgingly, your father has terminal cancer. He doesn't have much time left. You should go see him at the hospital. Maybe he'll leave you something. Don't you worry about me. Just remember to pay for the medical bills. I turned to leave, and the woman started cursing at me from behind. I try to give you a friendly reminder and you can't even appreciate it. You deserve to be kicked out of the family. She breaks up someone's family, moves in, and when her son is saved by her husband's ex-wife's daughter, she still talks with that condescending attitude. It's disgusting. Ugh, not only does she not get thanked for saving someone, she gets lectured. Only a saint like the heroine would put up with that. I did go to the hospital to see my biological father. The old man was lying in the hospital bed, his body rail thin. He patted the spot next to him. Sit. If you have something to say, just say it. He opened his mouth, his eyes cloudy, and then gave a barely perceptible shake of his head. About your brother's situation, thank you so much. I feel at ease leaving him with you. I just have more of a conscience than you do, I cut him off. And I don't have a brother, so don't try to tie him to me. I have no reason to clean up your mess. The old man loved his son more than anyone else, and he was still plotting for him even on his deathbed. He didn't trust that woman, and he didn't trust Lulu, so he came crawling to me. I wronged you in the past, but your mother wasn't. Both of you abandoned me. Are we really going to compare who was better? The old man closed his eyes and said no more. What will it take for you to help me? The old man finally drops the act. He tried to play the sympathy card to get something for nothing, but the heroine isn't falling for it. What a bastard. He knows he's dying and wants his daughter to raise his son, without even wanting to pay for it. Just die already, old man. I want whatever assets you have. Impossible. The old man was agitated and started coughing violently. Then there's nothing to talk about. I got up to leave. Just as I was about to close the door, the old man called out to me. Not everything. I can give you 20% at most. 80%, or you can figure it out yourself. The old man gritted his teeth. 60. That's the most. I fiddled with my nails, saying nothing. 65. That's the absolute most I can give. I knew when to quit while I was ahead. Let's get the will drawn up now. I'm afraid you might kick the bucket tomorrow. You. The old man was so angry he could barely breathe. He reached out to grab me. How could I have raised such an ungrateful daughter? Ungrateful? Then you can figure out your son's problems on your own. Maybe he never expected me to be so ruthless, because for the first time in his life, the old man softened his tone with me. He called his lawyer to have the will drafted. I would only get the 65% of the inheritance if Mark successfully graduated from college. As soon as it was done, the old man started shooing me away. You can go now. I need to rest. It wasn't until I left the hospital that I fully accepted the fact that my father did not love me. The old man passed away suddenly. At the funeral, my biological mother showed up, along with the 2 children she had later. The lawyer read the will, which only had my name and Mark's on it. Mark's mother couldn't believe it and rushed forward to snatch the will. How is that possible? How could he not even trust me? Why does Chloe get a share, but I get nothing? Did you forge the will? The woman lunged at me like a madwoman, but her hand was caught by Luke before she could slap me. He signaled to the bodyguards nearby to escort her away. Lulu could no longer hide the ugly expression on her face. Well, congratulations to you. She practically had to chew on her own gums to spit out those sarcastic words. But she was quickly pushed aside. My own mother came forward with her 2 children. I'm your mother. These are your little brother and sister. I took a step back, putting distance between us. I don't have a brother or sister. My parents abandoned me a long time ago. Her expression turned awkward. Chloe, how can you talk like that? She was speaking in a low, pleading tone. She wanted something. Your stepfather went bankrupt, and your brother and sister's school tuition is a bit expensive. We can't afford it right now. Could you possibly? I just wanted to escape. I was so tired. When I begged you for help, you never thought about helping me. When I earned my first paycheck and went to see you, you shut the door in my face because you looked down on the small amount of money I had. So please, don't bother me now. The woman's expression shifted through a range of emotions, finally settling on one sentence. How can you be so heartless? In that short time, I had to accept the fact that parents don't always love their children, and it drained all the energy out of me. Luke held me tightly. It's okay to cry. But I couldn't shed a single tear. When you're at the absolute peak of sadness, even the tears stop. Will you always love me? Luke didn't hesitate. As long as my owner doesn't abandon me, I will always love you. Oh my God, the heroine is so insecure right now. Even a moment's hesitation would have been too much. The loyal puppy and the insecure owner. I'm shipping them so hard. The puppy and the owner need to live happily ever after. Luke planned a special get-together just for me. All of our closest friends were there, and he'd booked a hot springs resort. Felix and I were lounging on chairs, chatting idly, until a gasp erupted from inside. I was pushed into the center of the crowd. The floor was covered in bouquets of flowers and candles arranged in the shape of a heart. Luke stood awkwardly in the middle. Before I could even get close, he dropped to one knee. The crowd laughed and cheered. The tips of Luke's ears were so red they looked like they were about to bleed. Luke slid a ring on my finger. "Will you be with me forever?" Yes. Passion, romance, and love, this was what my friends and my partner had given me. Felix held up his camera and yelled, "Ah!" I recorded the whole thing. Everyone burst out laughing, taking pictures to remember the moment. Later, on the balcony, Luke was chatting and laughing with his friend of 10 years. They clinked their beer bottles. "See, I told you." The amnesia trick was guaranteed to win her back. I quietly snuck up behind him. "So smart. Where did you learn a trick like that?" "A 9.99 relationship guide I bought online." He suddenly realized something was wrong and turned around stiffly, a goofy grin on his face. "We were just kidding. Seriously, you have to believe me." That night, I pretended to be angry and banished Luke to the guest room. But I shouldn't have been surprised when he snuck into my bed in the middle of the night. He was hugging the stuffed animal I had given him, his voice full of grievance. A puppy can't live without his owner.